Hi everyone, hope you have a really good day. Today's video, what I want to talk about is one of the most important ratios I see in business. So more and more businesses these days are service-based. That's where they don't necessarily have a lot of costs when it comes to materials and producing stuff, but actually they have quite a lot of costs. One of the ratios I want to talk about today is the staff to turnover ratio. And even if you are in a business where you've got to buy food, or if you're manufacturing something, you've got to buy materials, this one's still relevant for you, but it's especially important for contractor costs, essentially. And I'm talking about all of the costs. I'm not just talking about what you pay your people and they go home with every month. I'm talking any training costs that you've got and any welfare costs that you've got in the business plus their benefits. So if you've got an idea of what your overall costs of employing someone are, not just what they get paid, then that feeds into this ratio. So the ratio is essentially what do you spend on people versus what do you actually bring in terms of sales. A lot of businesses, it could be about 50% if they're like an accounting firm, a law firm. Other businesses, it could be a lot lower, it could be higher, depending on the nature of the staff and the nature of the industry. But if let's say it's 50% in terms of staff costs, then everything else is the profit for the business, the corporation taxes, and also the overheads for the business. So that's why the rest is to cover everything else, including the owner's profits. It's a really important number because it gives you, as time goes by and inflation takes hold and pressures in terms of how much you're going to pay people, it gives you a reminder to actually put your prices up. And also it can work the other way. If you're in an industry where your prices have crept up naturally, maybe because you can just pass, then actually it feeds back the other way and it reminds you to make sure that your staffing salaries and the benefits that you're providing to your team grow in line with that. So it goes both ways. One way it reminds you to actually make sure you're charging what you need to charge to maintain a certain ratio that's always been good for your business. And the other way, it means you're putting the investment into looking after your team based on what your business is actually bringing in. So that's why you should look at it. It's great for retaining staff in the long term. It's a really good way to help you understand what to pay individual members of staff, because you can actually just put it into proportionality of how the business is doing in terms of sales. If you don't know what the right staff to turnover ratio for your business is, it is worth talking to an accountant. I'm not doing this video as a sales video, but normally when we're trying to work it out, we have to factor in things like the goals of the business owner in terms of how much they want to be making out of the business. We have to factor in things like inflation. We have to have a good understanding of what their business's overheads are, and not just the current overheads, the realistic overheads, because quite often businesses are paying for stuff today that they might not be paying for in the future because they realize it's not a good investment. When you factor those things in and you factor in what the business is actually historically been charging its customers, you get a good idea of what kind of staff to turnover ratio works for that business. And then you can set that in stone, and then that can be a target that business is always working hard to maintain, so that everyone involved in the business, including the owner and the team and also the customers, get treated fairly and the pricing is consistent and everyone gets paid what they're worth. So thanks for watching this video. If you've got any questions about that, then get in touch and I'll see you at the next video.